What a week, what a year it has been for Coinbase. Shares are up over 50% so far this year and up 14% just in the past week. So what in the world is going right for Coinbase? The biggest thing in the last couple of days is the fact that more ETFs in crypto were approved. It wasn't Bitcoin that was approved earlier this year. This time it was Ethereum. Several Ethereum ETFs have been approved by the SEC. Coinbase will be the custodian for at least some of those ETFs. The direct benefit for Coinbase is they're going to make money off of those custodian services. But the indirect benefit is that crypto continues its march to being more of a mainstream asset, more of something that people are going to accept as payment for something, whether that's USDC tokens, whether that's Bitcoin, whether that's Ethereum. It doesn't really matter for Coinbase. What you want to see if you're a Coinbase investor is just more usage of cryptocurrencies, and that's exactly what we've moved on the path towards this week. So I want to dig through exactly what we found out, what was approved, and what this may actually mean long term. Because if Ethereum is approved for ETFs, that may open the floodgates for many, many more ETFs. Could open this to be a huge business for Coinbase. My name is Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. First of all, let's look at the stock chart. This is the chart from Google Finance. You can see that the past week, shares are up about 14.4%. I'm recording this after the close on Friday. And so far this year, up 51.5%. Just a phenomenal year for Coinbase. Going back a full year, 307%. So coming off that low that we had during the crypto winter, just been a phenomenal recovery in Coinbase. And there's a number of drivers here. One of the things is going to be just the valuation of cryptocurrencies overall. This is coin market cap, and you can see over the past year, the value of Bitcoin overall is up over 100%, $27,000 per Bitcoin about a year ago, now up over $68,000 per Bitcoin. But that's not the only token that's done well. Ethereum has had a similar run. A little bit more volatile. You can see the last few months have been extremely volatile, but 1806 about a year ago, now 3742 per token for Ethereum. You go to something like Solana, this is actually what I have most of my money in crypto invested in, about $19 a year ago and now $168. So not quite a 10x, but very close to a 10x for Solana. So as crypto moves higher, it's a benefit for Coinbase in a number of ways. One, the exchange business just does better. At its core, the exchange business is still the primary business for Coinbase. So they're going to make more money on more transactions and more volatility. That's really going to be the driver, not necessarily the valuation of tokens, but actually the volatility in the market. Because if you're an exchange, you just want more trading happening. You don't necessarily care whether the token goes up or down. But there's more to this business for Coinbase than just trading. The SEC recently approved Ethereum ETFs. Now, Bitcoin ETFs were approved earlier this year. Those tokens are not actually held by most of the companies that are launching these ETFs. Some of them do actually do that work themselves. Most of them actually offload it to a company like Coinbase. Coinbase is the custodian or one of the main custodians for most of the Bitcoin ETFs and is going to play the same role for a lot of the Ethereum ETFs. You can see that what CNN is reporting is that there's already about $12 billion of money that has moved into Bitcoin ETFs. So this is just going to flow into the industry. And now Ethereum is going to be the next step. You can see that according to the information, at least 6 out of the 9 investment firms that plan to launch ETFs have picked Coinbase as a custodian. So this is going to be another growing source of revenue for Coinbase. So you get the benefit from the trading, which is happening in the marketplace, and then you're getting the benefit from the fees associated with being the custodian for these assets. But this really could open up another floodgate. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. The reason the Ethereum ETF is such a big deal is because Ethereum is very different than Bitcoin. Ethereum, you can launch smart contracts on chain with the Ethereum token. That's the native token for the Ethereum blockchain. So there was more questions about whether Ethereum was going to be considered a security or not versus Bitcoin, which is considered a commodity. A little bit more like gold to a lot of investors, to a lot of people who are in the SEC kind of regulatory realm. But there's more questions about Ethereum because Ethereum is more like smart money or like a or like a cryptocurrency security. We don't know exactly what that's going to be defined at. This is one of the challenges that the SEC has made for itself because they haven't really defined what is a security and what is not in cryptocurrencies. So if an Ethereum ETF is approved, that means that it could open the floodgates for other tokens that look a lot like Ethereum, like Solana, like Avalanche. There are dozens of other tokens, sometimes called altcoins, that may now be approved for ETFs now that both Bitcoin and Ethereum have been approved. Could also open the floodgates for meme coin ETFs. There's all kinds of different asset classes that could be created with ETFs, and that would just bring more money into the ecosystem. And that's where this is kind of a rising tide lifts all boats scenario for Coinbase, because it doesn't necessarily matter whether they're making money on the trading aspect, so the marketplace, or whether they're making money from the custodian fees, or they're making money from some of the downstream impacts. This is what I have really been bullish on with Coinbase. Is this is the best publicly traded blockchain company. I'm not necessarily concerned about number go up, number go down about cryptocurrencies. I'm more concerned about how can Coinbase and companies like Coinbase build a better, more efficient monetary system. This is actually what their commercials have been all about. Hey, you could actually cut your fees if you're a merchant, if you accept USDC tokens as opposed to Visa cards. So we're very, very, very early on that path. But if we start to see people accepting crypto ETFs, that could potentially open the market to all kinds of other uses for the blockchain. And this is really what's going to fuel Coinbase's revenue and growth long term. So let's look at some of those numbers and what's going to be impacted. I pulled these segments for Coinbase's revenue. And the dark blue column is total transaction revenue. That's going to be the marketplace revenue. That's what you see recovering really nicely over the past 3 or 4 quarters. And that's where you're going to see most of the margin coming from the traditional business. Blockchain rewards is another solid business. That includes a lot of different things. But you can see that was up to $408 million in the most recent quarter. Custodial revenue, now $84.8 million. Not a huge number, but a growing number for Coinbase. And then stable coins, this has really been the big driver over the past year because this is a huge revenue generator and very, very high margin, $692.7 million. This is mostly related to the USDC stable coin. So you can see that each of those segments is growing over the last few quarters. And news like this, news like the Bitcoin ETFs, news like the Ethereum ETFs, and anything that is coming down the pipeline. And that's what I think is really opening up with this news over the past week, is that we're probably going to see more and more ETFs, and that's just going to drive revenue higher for Coinbase. So I think this is phenomenal news. We don't know exactly the magnitude of the revenue impact, probably not huge from just custodian fees, given that that's a fairly small revenue segment. But now think about the activity that's happening on the blockchain, more and more people accepting cryptocurrency as maybe a better solution to traditional financial infrastructure. I think this will just continue the tailwinds behind Coinbase. Still a company with a very bright future. Stock's gotten a little bit more expensive. Obviously, when you rise 300% in a year, that's going to be the case. Just to give some numbers behind that, price to earnings multiple is now 46. Enterprise value to sales is 13.6. So very high price to earnings multiple and price to sales multiple. But you have a lot of growth runway ahead for Coinbase. So I think this is phenomenal news for the company. Continues to push the stock higher. I am a happy shareholder in Coinbase and just happy to let this ride higher in the asymmetric portfolio. But what do you think about Coinbase's recent news? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.